The president of Mexico is talking about the United States and saying that what we've all known, but it's good to hear from another leader of a country, that America is not a democracy, it's an oligarchy, and that we should keep our noses out of other countries' businesses. So here's what he had to say. Do you want to hear it? So he talks kind of very... So I'll read to you what he said. So you can turn it down, and I'll read to you what he said.
Because you understand Spanish?
He says, I take this opportunity to respond to the Department of State of the United States government that has a bad habit. They always intrude in matters that do not correspond to them. So it's talking about our foreign policy, which is invasion and stealing natural resources, overthrowing governments. That's our foreign policy. That's what we do.
Well, it sounds like this guy doesn't read Max Boot.
That's right. Very contrary to what the President Biden thinks, who always talks of equality, literally an equal footing. Still, they do not abandon the politics of 2 centuries ago, the Monroe politics. He's talking about the Monroe Doctrine, which says the United States can dictate anything that happens in our hemisphere. Feeling as if they were the government of the world.
Which they literally...
That's what the United States is acting like.
Pax Americana? They say that, Pax Americana, like Pax Romana.
That's what that means?
It's the American peace.
Oh.
It's like a way to say it without saying it, you know?
Okay, I got it. What I say, with all due respect to Mr. Blinken at the State Department, that's our Secretary of State, is that there is more democracy currently in Mexico than in the United States, and that is true.
And that's just the cartels.
Yep. and that instead of meddling and acting in our intrusive manner in our affairs, if you want to continue with the same policy, let them take care of what is happening in Peru, where the United States ambassador is the advisor to the coup plotters who trampled on freedoms and democracy in the country, unfairly removing the president and imprisoning him, and that they should listen to President Biden. He's calling out the CIA in the United States for doing a coup in Peru. It's what we do.
Dr. Seuss. The coup in Peru. It's what we do.
But it is not only that the State Department, it's their nature, or at least the habit that's persisted for centuries in the United States government and among the United States elites. When I talked about the fact that we have more democracy than them, it's because here the people rule. He means in Mexico. There, the oligarchy rules, nothing else. That's exactly true. Yesterday, for example, the newspaper, possibly the most influential in terms of the economy and finance in all of the world, the Wall Street Journal, 8 columns and a picture of the march of corruption because this newspaper and others in the United States protect the mafias of economic power in the world. He's saying that the Wall Street Journal protects the mafias of economic power in the world. That's exactly what they do. And then he says Reforma, which is a Mexican newspaper, is better. So that's what he said. So if that, you don't want to hear me play this because it's in another language that I don't speak and blah, blah. Ben Norton tweets out, friends of the show, he says, neoconservative Republican Senator Lindsey Graham wants to introduce legislation so the U.S. military can invade Mexico.
So we're going to actually do the movie Sicario parts 1 and 2.
Was that a movie?
Yeah, it's a good movie, but it's good because it's so fanciful where we just invade because of the cartel.
Really? So that's what they wanted. That's what it's exactly what he's saying. Here's the former head of the CIA, Mike Pompeo. Under Trump, he says the Mexican cartels act as terrorist organizations. This guy was the head of the biggest terrorist organization in the world. It's called the CIA. And he's calling someone, it's like Chris Christie wagging his finger at you for staying at the buffet too long. We should treat them as such. Treat Mexican cartels as terrorists. That's what he's saying. And here's a Republican guy. He goes on the Fox News, and he actually advocates for invading Mexico.
Great question. That's a question we continue to ask the Biden administration. Look, my position is very clear. I believe we should have a military presence at the very least on the southern border, if not across the border. You know, one of the things.
Wait, is this like a trick to give them more guns?
Like that thing that
like what? The reason they have all the guns, they're illegal there. The reason they have all the guns is because they get them from us.
That's right. Fast and Loose. Remember that program?
Oh, no, that's how it was conducted.
Yeah.
That's Fast and Furious.
Was that it called? Fast and Furious?
Yeah.
That's Kentucky GOP Congressman James Comer. calling for the United States to invade Mexico. That's what he just said, in case you missed it. That's not some Yahoo comedian in his garage. That's a congressman on television saying that we should put military troops in Mexico.
Well, what if it turns out China's smuggling balloons to them?
We cannot let a big country like Russia invade its smaller neighbors, even if they claim to have security concerns. Also the United States. LOL, let's invade Mexico.
Oh, are we going to decartelify it, how Putin's denazifying?
So he's going to demilitarize Ukraine and denazify it, because it's right on their border.
That's just propaganda. But this we're going to take out the cartels. That's all we're doing. Maybe tone down a little of that democracy.
U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham stated today that he is preparing to present legislation to the Senate that would allow for the deployment of U.S. military forces to Mexico. This comes after 4 Americans were kidnapped and 3 most likely being killed by the Gulf cartel on Friday.
Not even a SEAL Team 6 job. This is a full-blown invasion we need.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
You can't drone this one, huh?
I think the cartel made a mistake because I think they
put an apology
They already
note.
apologized.
They wrote an apology note.
The cartels, which are never going away and run things, it's our bad. We didn't mean to cause you that headache. By the way, the Mexican cartels are in almost every city in America, every big city in America.
Can you imagine if, or as I call them, small pharma, if Big Pharma even had an apology?
Remember that? Yeah. So they did apologize. That's funny. Because we are not a protectorate nor a colony of the United States. We do not receive orders from anyone. That's what he said.
So then we're going to have a World War III. I mean, literally.
Imagine if Trump was doing this. If Trump was president, he's starting a war with Russia. He's starting a war with China. Starting a war with Mexico. We would go, Trump is crazy.
Yeah, nuking a hurricane doesn't even sound as crazy as this.
That's right.
At least you're not nuking people.
Misha Pollan makes the show. She says not to invade Mexico, not to shoot Mexican airplanes down, but to destroy drug labs that are poisoning Americans. That's what Lindsey Graham says.
What if they're next to our biolabs? I hope we don't.
In other words, to invade Mexico.
Yeah,
that's what that's called. If you want to go into, if you want to put your military in someone else's country, that means you're invading them, no matter what the purpose.
Wait, are they sovereign?
Sovereign. Please put these lower. A little bit lower. All right. I
love the doing the thing and not saying it. Every single thing. I got to make a list of all the things that don't mean anything now. All the words. There's a bunch of them. Invasion, sovereign, vaccine.
Vaccine doesn't
woman.
Doesn't mean that. What do you think? What are you stupid? You think a vaccine keeps you from getting sick? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's not what it does, dummy.
It never did that.
They never do that. Everybody got a little polio. Remember, you got the measles vaccine, then you got measles, right? Isn't that how it works?
I got polio 4 times.
I don't even bother with I get polio every year now.
Yeah.
I still get the polio shot every year, and I still get polio. All right, these are all jokes, YouTube, by the way. These are not serious things said about vaccines are fantastic. They make my heart swell with pride every time I get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And they do everything great.
You can see me smiling with one side of my face right now.
You should see Justin Bieber smile about how happy he was with his booster.
Yeah. Yeah, I have seen it. He looked very happy.
Very happy. If you want to see my stand-up special, become a member at jimmydore.com. It's only $10, and come see our live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Honolulu, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, and more.